Hey folks, I meant to get this video up yesterday, but got busy with other things. So today I'm going to be ripping some geometry from a PlayStation 1 game using a fork of DuckStation. Um, I won't be going over how to install Blender or DuckStation, but you can find a link to the fork of DuckStation that I'm using in the description. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and jump into things. So I've got Blender open. I've got DuckStation open. Go ahead and launch Legend of Legaia. Click this this drop-down menu here, 3D screenshotter. Check this box, and then just drag this out of the way here. Treat you all to the relaxing sounds of the OST here. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and skip through the prologue there. And on the 3D screenshot menu, I'm going to make sure disable culling is enabled, capture front and back enabled. And because I changed some settings in here, I'm going to click use PGXP as well. Full disclosure, I don't know what the fuck that does. Let's see. Excuse me. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the cheat manager. Now, I've already got a couple of additional cheat codes in here. The first one that I added is debug mode. I'll show you that code here. This one is in the video description. What it does is it enables you to use the built-in debug mode and debug menu using the button combination select and triangle for the debug menu and select and start for debug mode, as well as some other button combinations. So I'm going to progress through this dialogue here until I'm able to move around on my own. Okay, so when I hit select and triangle, it opens up this debug menu here. What I want to do is I want to turn off, I want to navigate to the camera option and hit X to turn it off. What that's going to do is it's going to prevent the game from automatically resetting the camera. Because when it's on, if I try to change the camera angle and then I move, it will automatically readjust back to the normal camera. So turn that off. go down here to other settings, and you'll see that there are DX0, DY0, DX1, DY1. These appear to be draw distance variables, I think. So if I decrease this, the little kid disappears, and then everything around me starts disappearing. The other thing that we can see here is just then I hit R1, R2, and X. That brings up this menu here. It's like some kind of coordinate and camera debugging mode. It shows the angle of the camera on the X, Y, and Z axis, the target of the camera, X, Y, and Z, as well as like the zoom and the field of view. So what I did is I decided on specific configuration of all these variables for a good bird's eye view camera. And so that's where I came up with this code here. What it does is it sets the excuse me just a moment. It sets the field of view to 1024, sets the zoom to 1024, and then it sets X, Y, and Z rotation as well as X, Y position to 0. Excuse me. I lied. Let's see, that's X, Y rotation. Let me fact check this real quick. Okay, first one is field of view to 1024. The X angle, that's the one that's it's like 90 degrees from above. And then it's Y rotation, Z rotation is 0. The camera position X and Y to 0, and then the Z position, or like essentially the zoom, to like 32,000 or something like that. And then these are the left and right draw distances, and the up and down draw distances to 16. So basically the draw distance is increased a little bit. Camera is rotated up to above bird's eye view, and it's moved way out. And the field of view is increased, so it should give it I don't know if the right term is orthographic or orthogonal. It should decrease the amount of perspective like aberrations that you see. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on. As you can see, the game variables all match what the code did, and I have this bird's eye view of the game now. You should be careful when messing with the camera, because the game can't handle, or I guess the emulator can't handle drawing the entire map on the screen at one time. The emulator will freeze, and when it freezes, it's very difficult to get it to behave itself again. You basically have to force restart it. So you might be wondering, why am I using this top-down perspective instead of the game's normal camera? It's because, and we'll go ahead and start playing around in this 3D screenshotter for a bit. It's because when I take this 3D screenshot, and you're going to want to go to Settings, Folders, 3D Screenshot, Directory. Excuse me. I hit the Browse button instead of the Open button. Sorry, it looks like I'm having some computer issues. So these are all the files that came out of that one screenshot. So I've got a bunch of textures, I don't know, 20 different images here, and then I've got an MTL file, which is a material file, and an OBJ file, which is the actual vertexes of the mesh. If I come over here to Blender and I import an OBJ, also known as a wavefront. Let's see. I'm just gonna copy that. Import that OBJ file. Alright. So you might have noticed but nothing showed up on the screen. I'm going to delete this camera, I'm going to delete this cube, I'm going to delete this light. Somewhere in Blender, this object is here. Well, after a lot of experimentation, I can tell you why it's not on the screen. It's because it's enormous. So, I shrunk it down to 1/1000th of the size that it normally is, so that you could see it, and when I import it, it is rotated in multiple directions. So the let's see, when I go to the -Y view, this should match pretty closely with the game. Yeah, that matches what the game shows, right? But this isn't really what I want. What I'd like to do is have this imported and be nice and flat and level, and an appropriate size as well. So what I'm going to do is go back here to DuckStation. Open up my cheat manager. I'm going to enable that bird's eye view. Take another screenshot. Go back to Blender. Going to import wavefront. I'm going to select this this newer OBJ here. Correction, this newer OBJ here. and I'm going to create a preset scale. And I'll need to give it the correct orientation as well. Let's see. I gotta look something up real quick. Alright. So we'll want our forward axis. Forward axis is going to be Y, and the up axis will be Z. Let's see. Alright. So see how that was imported? It's nice and flat. Unfortunately, it's pretty far down. So I think that that is probably a result of how I chose to do my camera zoom. So I'm going to do an experiment real quick. I'm going to try adjusting that. So I'm going to go to the cheat manager. Let's see. By the way, once we correctly set the forward axis and the up axis and the scale, go ahead and name this. And I want to import this one. Let's see what that does. I don't think it imported. Let's see. Sure didn't. Well, it looks like it doesn't have very many vertices in it. So it seems like adjusting the camera made it so that nothing is drawing on the screen. And so there's basically an empty object or something. So, going back to the game, I'm going to adjust this back to 8,000. All right, so all right. So looking at this object in Blender here, probably noticed that there's a lot of geometry missing. It only captured bits and pieces. Well, we go over to our game. Go over to our game and move to a location where some of the missing that we're closer to some of the missing geometry. We take another screenshot at this location and we import it. You notice that now there's two objects here and they're slightly off center of each other. So let's see. Forgive me, I'm terrible with Blender. What the hell am I doing? All right. You can probably see that both of these objects have a little Genesis tree in them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to align both of these objects using the Genesis tree as a reference point. So I'm going to hide this object here. And I'm going to look only at the first object. I'm going to go to edit mode by hitting tab. I'm going to actually, I'm going to change this object. I need you. I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to select one of these vertices. I'm going to right click it. I'm going to set it to select the cursor to this, set cursor to selected, and go back to object mode. I'm going to snap, I'm going to set the origin to cursor, and then I'm going to move this thing up. Same thing for this guy. Object mode. Click this. Cursor to selected. Origin of cursor. Zero that. Zero it. Zero it. So, because I selected basically the same point in both of these objects, I was able to line them up on the origin. But doing that took a little while. It's a much faster way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Edit, Preferences, and go to Add-ons. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm going to open up a text editor. And then from the description, I've got a little script copy paste the script. What the script does is precisely what I showed you. It takes the object by the vertex that you selected earlier and moves the whole thing to the world origin to 0, 0, 0. All right, and we'll call that SnapVertexToOrigin.py. All right. So after you've saved SnapVertexToOrigin.py, you'll go click Install in your Blender add-ons. Go to the location where you saved it, hit Install. Then, after you've installed it, make sure you click this little box here, snap vertex to world origin to enable it. So now you can move around in the world and take another screenshot. Go over here, import it. It's this newest one right here. Go ahead and import. And then so I've selected the same vertex as before. What I'm going to do is go to Mesh, and now Snap Vertex to World Origin is now an option. Bam. Now all the objects are aligned, but I can make this even faster. Go back into Edit, go to Preferences, and go to Key Map. And where is it? Am I just blind? Where's the stamp thing? 3D view, mesh, global. Okay, so 3D view, mesh, global. Scroll down to the bottom. There should be a button that says Add New. You'll click that. You'll type in mesh.snap _ vertex _ to origin, and then you'll give it some kind of hotkey combination that you want. I'm using Control Numpad 0. So going back to the game, let's go over here. So we're missing some of these parts. Take the screenshot, import object. That seems to be the spot that I want. All I have to do, Control 0. And now all 4 of these objects are perfectly aligned. So there's going to be a lot of redundant geometry here because some of these things have 4 copies of what's going on. And you'll also see that Vahn is, he appears in all these different locations from where I took screenshots. So eventually we're going to have to clean that up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out. I'm in object mode. I'm going to select all 4 of these objects and I right click them and where is it? Join. Now all 4 objects have been combined. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the letter M. Nope, I'm not going to hit the letter M. Maybe in edit mode. Yeah. Okay, so you have to go back to edit mode, hit M, and it'll say merge. We're going to want to merge by distance. And it's going to give us a very small merge distance. Whatever. 0.01 meters seems fine. What is it doing? Actually, I think I need to select all the vertexes and then merge them. That's probably what I was doing wrong. By distance. So down here is where you'll see how many vertices were removed. Let me see if I can undo this. Just to show you kind of what is going on if we had not merged these vertices. Let's look at this one. As you can see, there are multiple copies of this particular still more. Unbelievable. How many are there? Anyways, the point is, the polygon count on this is going to be crazy high, because when this geometry is captured out of DuckStation, it doesn't have a vertex for all three of these polygons. It has a vertex for each of the polygons. So for every intersection you see, there's going to be, just at this one intersection, there's 4 vertices. Times, I have 4 screenshots on top of each other. So that means there's 16 vertices in this one dot. I assume that that is going to make editing these files extremely difficult, and probably make the file size a lot larger than it needs to be. Alright, so that kind of covers how to merge different things. I encourage you to do some experimentation with it, though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my bird's eye camera mode again, and I'm going to try changing this to an even larger number. So I'm going to crash my game. Nope. Alright. See, I'm zoomed out even further. In theory, I should be able to capture way more geometry with one shot, but the more cheeky I am about trying to get really good screenshots, the more likely I am to crash this thing. So alright, so this is a pretty zoomed out view now. I'm going to see how it does. Kind of stuttered there for a moment. Look at that. It's only missing a little bit. So, what I could do is I could try to increase the draw distance beyond what I'm currently doing. So let's see. Let's go back to the cheat manager. Well, actually, now I think about it, the draw distance seems to only be for objects in the scene and not the actual scene. So what you could do is you could use that to your advantage to try to remove any entities that are being animated and moving around in the scene. I could set my draw distance to 0 on both positive and negative X and Y, and that would get rid of the Genesis tree and the bench and the two little kids in this scene. I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like. So these 4 lines here are the draw distances. So right now it's set to positive and negative 16 on both sides. Alright, let's see what that did. Yep, got rid of all the objects in the scene. So yeah, if you're strictly trying to get the actual landscape, the actual scene, this might be a useful little hack for you. And that's about it for the scenery. I'm going to experiment with screenshotting in combat because it's a different game mode and it behaves a little bit differently. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off the bird's eye camera because we're going to want different variables for the actual fight. I'm going to leave this scene and interesting. So with the code off, notice how the camera and the draw distances reset back to normal. It's going to do that every scene transition. Unless you have a code turned on. So even if you have the camera mode off, it still does that. All right. And my game crashed. Well, like I said, the game becomes very unstable when you're fucking around like this. Real quick, before the game boots up, just want to go over one little thing that I changed in my DuckStation settings. Under console, I enabled a megabyte RAM dev console. Not sure if that helps, but I imagine that the debug mode was probably made with a dev console in mind. By the way, I would encourage you to use save states when you're attempting to do this, because otherwise you're going to be restarting from square one like me. Let me turn on speed up. What is the fast forward button? That's not what I want. Toggle fast forward. What do you think? Toggle turbo. What's the difference? All right, I hit my hotkey. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to show you guys some cheese real quick. Turn the camera off. Oops. Other settings. Player position. Watch this. I'm going to hold X. And I'm going to slide around like this. Move myself down here. All right. All right. So, once we get this fight going, probably make a little save state. Let's see. There it is. Okay. So, as you can see, the camera wants to rotate when we're at this beginning menu. So, if we go to the cheat manager. Alright, I'm going to click this, but I haven't tested it in a while, so this may just crash it. Alright. Looks like it's possibly too far zoomed out. I'm going to edit my code here. Change this to 4000 hex. Okay. Alright, now we're getting somewhere. So, it seems that the camera, the code for the camera needs to be turned on after you get to the point where this menu is on the screen. Let me see if... No, it does not work. Let's see. think I just crashed it. Ah, I fucked up. So with debug mode on, if you hit select, it will immediately end the battle. So I'm gonna have to load my state here. Let's see. Yeah, this mode is really locked down. There's not much I can do. So, let's see. I'm just going to keep editing this code to see if I can get it to look the way I want. So the two numbers I'm really going to start tweaking are this VZ. Let's see what happens when I go out to 6,000. Alright, let's see what happens when I change my FOV 800. Alright. Let's try 200. Okay, getting somewhere. 100. $80. Okay. See if the free cam will work here. Really pushing my luck. And it's gonna crash. Alright, so 40 was pushing it a little too hard. Let's try again. And because the game shut down unexpectedly, the cheat manager, all the changes that I just made were not saved. Okay, let's see. Bird's eye camera. Pretty sure I just crashed it again. Alright, well, I'm gonna have to force quit it now. Uh, Here is why it's so much fun. Okay. Mm. Let's get this out of the way. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a 3D screenshot here. Let's see what we get. There they are. Let's see. So, if you just want the player characters or enemies, you can easily do it. But if you want the actual battlefield, it's going to be very difficult to get the full battlefield in a 3D screenshot here. There is a way to do it. It just requires a lot of experimentation and a lot of patience, because it will inevitably crash the emulator. But let's have a look at how to isolate parts of the 3D screenshot that you want. So what I'm going to do is, with this object selected, I'm going to go to edit mode, and let's see. I think that there is a setting I need to do up here. Which one is it? Ah, this is the button right here. Toggle X-ray. So, if X-ray is not turned on, and I decide that I want to capture Tetsu here. And I want to select all his vertices. I only end up selecting the ones that are visible. So what I need to do is toggle this X-ray button here and then scoop up everything. Now, I'm actually selecting him. Okay. So let's clean this up. I don't need all the sand that's around here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the part that I want. Actually, I'm going to select all. By hitting the letter A. And then I'm going to hit the letter M to merge everything by distance. And you see that 8,576 vertices are removed. Let's see if I merge it again, it says 0. What I'm going to do is scoop up just these guys here, and I'm going to separate this, separate selection. Now, when I go to object mode, this guy is his own separate object. His origin's all jacked up though. So we're going to hide the rest of the scene. I'm going to move you a little bit lower. I'm going to go to edit mode. I think this is probably a good spot for his origin, right? So I'm going to set sorry, as you can tell, I don't use Blender. Alright, I just want to move my cursor to this. Where is it? There it is, snap vertices. Okay, cursor to selection, let's see. Cursor to selected. And then in object mode, you say origin to cursor. Now, its origin's right there. Then I can set its location to 0, 0, 0. Alright, let's go back into edit mode. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start deleting faces that are vertices that I don't need. So, if you wanted to use this as like a mini, this might be all you need to do. This little circle here is his shadow. but if you need like a 1-inch base for your figurine, this might be good for the STL file. You could just you could probably extrude it down so that it's got a little bit of height to it. Of course, it'll end up printing out looking like this in some way. It'll look something like that. You may need to go in and do some edits to some of the geometry because who knows if this is actually going to have any structural integrity. I don't know if any of the pieces are hanging on by just a little sharp corner or something. It's tough to say. Well, so let's say there's a specific NPC you want to fight, and you want to get their model. We can do that using either Gameshark code or the debug menu. I'm just going to skip this battle here. Oh, look at that. If I walk around, the game will probably freeze. So I'm going to turn camera back on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit select and start. Go to mode, battle, and then under the battle menu, we got to figure out what number is associated with the monster that we want to get the geometry for. So, popping into the FAQ for the debug mode, it says, who do I want to fight? I want to fight 137. Of course, 137 is the decimal number. So what does that translate to? Oh, it is a decimal display. Okay, 137. Let's see. And start. All right. So then, just like before, I'm going to use my... Ooh, I was a little worried for a second. Take my 3D screenshot. There he is. Alright, so I just want... Oh, here's actually a problem you might encounter. So I'm not sure what causes this problem. But you see that there's some weird geometry stretching out of Vahn. I don't know if it's like parts of the menu that have been like somehow mistakenly added, but in order to fix that, we have to go into edit mode, go ahead and merge everything by distance. Correction, select everything, then merge everything by distance. And then you're going to want to let's see. Right now it's in a vertex selection mode. Don't recall how to change that. Here it is. So right now it's selecting vertices. I'm going to change it to select a face. I'm going to click this face and I'm going to hit delete, and I'm going to say delete faces. See, completely gone now. So that's the fastest way I've found to remove those little weird artifacts. So I'm going to go back to selection by vertices, and I'm going to scoop up Vansario here. I'm going to separate him by selection, so he's now his own object. Go into edit mode, and I'm just going to clean up some stuff. Let's go to face selection. We can delete that. Let's see. This is really being a pain in the butt. Delete face. Okay, so what I'm going to do is select this vertex in the middle. Cursor to selected. Object mode. Set origin to cursor. We're going to move him to the world origin. Oh Christ. There we go. Go back into edit mode. Select faces. I did not want to do that. Alright, maybe it's easier to do this. Select Vertex. Delete this guy. Delete. 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 All right. That just about cleans it up. Okay, so this one should be ready to print or to start animating. And then, of course, if you have multiple things in the scene, I could grab Gala and Vahn and Noah out of the scene as well. That's about all. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you have any questions, and especially let me know if you find an easier way to do some of this stuff. I'm not by any means an expert in Blender, so the way that I've done it here is the result of a lot of experimentation and frustration. So I would definitely like to see some faster ways to do these things. One option that we have is the use of macros. So I made that little script so that we could merge scenery together, but we could just as easily make a little script that, for example, I want to select the base of this model, and I want to set that point as the origin and set the origin to the coordinates 0, 0, 0. I should be able to just hit a button and have it done. I might even make it so it's the same macro. Maybe it's... Yeah, I could do that. I could make it so the macro does the same thing for scenery and for models. I think it should work. The only problem would be that in theory you might want your scene origin to be somewhere other than the spot that you're doing all your alignment from. It is what it is. Anyways, leave some comments, give me a like, and let me know what you think.